Tonight on CTV News at 11:30. The economic impact: over 1,000 layoffs at Algoma.
You have the direct impact, which is the people who are immediately affected. You have an indirect impact.
City officials in Sault Ste. Marie are bracing now for what's to come. Plus, Laurentian's former external auditor found guilty.
I find quite surprising not to see any kinds of clear warnings, I would say, from auditors.
She'll now have to pay a fine along with part of the cost of the investigation. And the numbers have been crunched at Sudbury City Council.
It's been a lot of work and a lot of negotiating, a lot of talking.
We now know what type of tax increase will have to be levied.
CTV News at 11:30 with Ian Campbell and Rick Wyman with weather.
Well, good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. We begin once again tonight in Sault Ste. Marie, where the larger impact of Algoma Steel's 1,000 layoffs is now coming into view. Some believe thousands more could be impacted by the cuts. CTV's Corey Nordstrom starts us off tonight.
Algoma Steel moving from coke ovens to the new electric arc furnace a year earlier than planned resulted in layoff notices for 1,050 staff. The City of Sault Ste. Marie's Director of Economic Development tells CTV News that the indices published by StatCan state that the trickle-down of these cuts could impact upwards of 3,000 people in the community.
You have the direct impact, which is the people who are immediately affected. You have an indirect impact, which is people that are currently contracted or doing service work directly for the impacted employer. And then you have induced impact. And induced impact is all those people that provide the meals and everything else for these people.
Van Staveren says that his team is looking to accelerate the opportunities they have to bring large companies to the city.
Part of how we offset that is the development of the port project. That in itself will help us attract more industry to the city, help us diversify our economy and create a broader base to create more employment for the city.
Though there are potential opportunities elsewhere in the north, particularly in the field of mining, Van Staveren notes that Algoma Steel layoffs could be what attracts other businesses to the Soo.
Companies that approach us are always looking to ensure that we have staff available. So are there people that have the skill sets and that are available to support their businesses? And I mean, if you're looking for any type of silver lining, which there really isn't in this situation, but it does give us that opportunity to say to somebody, if they're saying, do you have a workforce available? Well, yes, we do.
Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
A former external auditor for Laurentian University in Sudbury has been disciplined for professional misconduct. CTV's Angela Campbell reports.
A disciplinary hearing by Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario has found Laurie Bissonnette, KPMG auditor, failed to appropriately evaluate the school's ability to continue financially, just months before the university filed for insolvency. Bissonnette was responsible for Laurentian University's year-end financial audits from 2005 through 2020. According to CPA Ontario's Professional Conduct Committee investigation, in 2020, Bissonnette and a team from KPMG conducted the year-end audit, concluding that LU was financially sound. Bissonnette admitting during the disciplinary hearing she believed, despite a more than $14.5 million deficit at the end of 2019, there were measures in place that would allow the school to break even. Months later, in February 2021, the university declared insolvency, leading to the termination of 195 staff. During the disciplinary hearing, Bissonnette admitted to professional misconduct, saying she relied too much on cash flow forecasts and assumed the province would help if things got dire. Bissonnette must pay a $50,000 fine, pay 2/3 of the cost of the investigation, and has had her professional status permanently suspended. The head of the Faculty Association is not surprised, since no major issues had been flagged prior to the crisis.
I find quite surprising not to see any kinds of clear warnings, I would say, from auditors. There is a shared responsibility here because the former administration failed to provide the individual with, the the appropriate documentation.
It was later discovered LU used money from restricted funds to support operations, which made their cash flow look stable. Bissonnette retired in September 2020, 5 months before the financial crisis came to light. She did not get back to CTV to comment on the hearing, and Laurentian University says this was not a topic it was in a position to provide a statement on. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
Sudbury City Council has passed its 2026 municipal budget, which includes a 3.9% tax increase. With more, here's CTV's Amanda Hicks.
After 2 days of debates and deliberations, City Council passed its budget for 2026 with a final tax levy increase of 3.9%.
We've made some cuts, some changes, and to get it down to the 3.9. So it's been a lot of work and a lot of negotiating, a lot of talking, and but I'm really pleased with the outcome.
Sudbury Police was granted a 10.2% budget hike to hire additional officers. Also approved was the expansion of the free transit for seniors program and accessibility improvements to Campbell Beach. Residents will also see a separate rate increase for water and wastewater services, approved at 4.8% for 2026.
Public safety is the number one thing that we're seeing. Policing, with the budget increase to the budget, is again more than half of the Sudbury budget of Greater Sudbury will be towards policing services. So that's what I think people can take back from this.
Mayor Paul Lefebvre presented 6 amendments that helped bring down the tax increase. Some included canceling the financing plan for the College Street underpass, decreasing the capital levy contribution for 2026, and reducing funding for the Greater Sudbury Corporation for Arts and Culture.
We've adjusted up the balance with the money that we transfer to Greater Sudbury Development Corporation, and it used to be we used to give them money every year, but then they're also getting what we call the MAT tax, the municipal accommodation tax. They're getting increased numbers, so we've adjusted. We're hoping that they can pay the arts and culture grants through that money.
With the 2026 municipal election looming, business cases like the demolition of the Sudbury Arena and Phase 2 of MR 55 roadwork have been officially deferred, guaranteeing they'll be a part of key budget discussions for next year. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Azilda.
Northern Ontario Hill Days was a big success on Parliament Hill. That from the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, or FNOM, and the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, or NOMA, which just ended the 2-day mission full of meetings. They say modernizing and widening the Trans-Canada Highway was at the top of their list. FNOM and NOMA representatives also talked about labor shortages in the north, community safety, bail reform, and critical mineral developments.
You know, the simple stuff that the residents come and tell us on how do we get things done. We bring that up to the provincial government, and of course we know that the funding comes a lot of times from the federal government. So let's all work together, and that's what we're more or less asking for, is how do we work together as a group of politicians that are all elected by the people in our regions.
Along with various ministers, the two groups also had a sit-down with senior staff in the Prime Minister's office. Well, it's Wednesday, and every Wednesday we take time out to interview a mayor from the region about issues important to them. Earlier tonight, I sat down with Rick Champagne of East Ferris about improving highway safety. Here's part of our conversation.
We actually have all 3 highways running through our municipality. We have part of Highway 11, Highway 17, and also Highway 94. So we see a lot of different issues coming up, and opportunities for for ourselves to navigate through this, and changes need to be made in some places. The heavy traffic and the heavy transport traffic needs to be looked at for sure.
What's one area that they could look at that would make you happy, or what would be at the top of your list?
Well, it's a heavy traffic. You know, that the transport traffic that's coming through. We one issue that we have happens quite often. We have we have lights at Highway 94 and 17, and believe it or not, there's still people to this day, especially with the heavy truck, and the heavy trucks seem to want to run the lights, and the OPP have been really good about focusing on that. But at the end of the day, they have to be careful, and something has to be done.
Our thanks to Mayor Champagne. That full interview is up on our website and YouTube page, CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca. Next week, we'll sit down with Mattawa Mayor Ray Belanger. Well, the Ford government released the delayed results of the EQAO testing and is now launching an advisory body on those results. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
It frustrated me and made me quite upset.
The Minister of Education displeased with the EQAO results he held back for study. He doesn't feel progress in reading, writing, and math is coming fast enough.
Half of grade 6 students and 42% of grade 9 students are not meeting the provincial standard in math.
In response, the government's setting up a 2-person advisory panel to dig into student learning.
The review will look at whether our curriculum and learning resources are clear and easy to use. It will consider how well teachers are being prepared and supported. It will examine whether students have the tools they need to succeed in the classroom.
And look at what kind of testing makes sense. The people doing that work will be named in the new year. Their pay, $1,500 a day.
I think you should be focusing on what some say the $1,500 a year that students are being shorted individually in our education system.
The opposition says the changes needed to help kids succeed are no secret.
We need smaller class sizes. We need more teachers. We need more educational assistants, not less.
The president of EWECTA is open to talking, but
what we don't need is other outside experts again trying to tell teachers as if they aren't professionals with experience what should be happening in their classroom.
Public elementary teachers want to do away with EQAO, a test their union says hasn't lived up to its goal,
which was to close achievement gaps identified through the tests, where funds are directed to communities and to locations where extra supports are needed.
Calandra had planned to make a decision on whether or not to do away with trustees by the end of this year. Now he says no announcement will be made until 2026. He's still reviewing constitutional requirements for education in the Catholic and French systems.
But nothing has changed my mind right now that trustees are in any way the best way to deliver a $43 billion educational system.
At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Time now for a short break here on CTV News. Coming up, Rick will have your full weather forecast. For now, a look at the weather warnings we once again have in place tonight, and those are snow squall warnings you see on the island in through Parry Sound, but the one that's really concerning at the moment, Highway 17 from Sault Ste. Marie all the way up to Wawa. 20 to 40 centimeters is possible. If you have to be out there, please drive carefully. Here's a look at the current conditions. Minus 23 in Kapuskasing, minus 13 at Elliott Lake. We'll have more details in a moment.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Get ready for some cold weather here in Northeastern Ontario. Aside from the squalls and flurries, a lot of cold weather rolling in for a day, maybe even two. Then it starts to warm up by Friday. So let's check out our forecast radar right now. The system of squalls and flurries, of course, dumping a lot of precipitation in the Sault Ste. Marie area. Here's what it's going to look like by supper time on Friday. And again, we'll continue having a close look at what's going on in terms of precipitation and some of those numbers. Sudbury Nickel Belt wind chill factor for tomorrow, minus 15, minus 27 to minus 30 overnight, but minus 21 during the daytime with the wind chill. Flurries for a couple of days, Friday, Saturday. Sunny and cold on Sunday, minus 12, minus 10 Monday with the cloud cover and snow. Periods of snow next Tuesday at minus 5 degrees. Meanwhile, in Sault Ste. Marie, as I said, the flurries and the squalls over the course of tomorrow, 10 to 20 centimeters. High of minus 8. Some flurry activity for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And snow next Tuesday. Take a look at the daytime highs at minus 3, minus 8, minus 6, and minus 4. The evening temperatures minus 15 and a minus 12, turning colder by the weekend. Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of flurries for tomorrow, minus 16. Some flurry activity Friday and Saturday at minus 6 and minus 8. Sunny and cold on Sunday, minus 16. Cloud cover Monday and periods of snow Tuesday at minus 8. Here we go now with Temiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. Chance of flurries tomorrow, only minus 16. Colder with the wind chill, of course. Some flurry activity Friday, more of the same on Saturday. Sunny and cold on Sunday, minus 14. Minus 10 Monday, some sun and cloud, and periods of snow next Tuesday at minus 7. Take a look at some of these evening lows. Minus 18, minus 22, and minus 23 Sunday evening. Meanwhile, in North Bay, West Nipissing, chance of flurries for 3 consecutive days, but only -14 for tomorrow. -5 warming up on Friday, -3 Saturday, getting colder Sunday with the sunshine. Snow on Monday, -10, and Tuesday we've got -5 degrees. So Ian, here we go. Get ready for the cold weather. It's going to be cold everywhere tomorrow in the Northeast, and Sault Ste. Marie will have to deal with those snow squalls for tomorrow. Back to you on the desk.
Thanks so much, Rick. Well, new tonight, the Chiefs of Ontario is calling out the federal government for what it says is years of unacceptable delays. Chiefs from all over Ontario, including the North, were on Parliament Hill today. They want the 2021 First Nations class action settlement implemented. At the center of this settlement is water. According to the Chiefs of Ontario, a third of First Nations still face drinking water advisories.
At this moment, 58 nations in Ontario are on long or short-term water advisories, and more are likely on the horizon. That's a third of all First Nations in Ontario who cannot drink safe drinking water in their homes.
In the settlement, Canada committed to tabling legislation and providing sustainable funding for safe drinking water for First Nations. The chief says they're wondering, where is that bill and the funding?
Right now, without water legislation, there's no enforcement of regulatory regime for water and wastewater in First Nations. There's no legal recognition of our First Nations governance over water.
According to their figures, causes for poor drinking water include faulty infrastructure, deteriorating water sources and aquifers to water contaminated with bacteria and uranium.
This silence is unacceptable. It is gravely concerning that the Government of Canada feels it can operate in this way while our people struggle every single day with the consequences of underfunding and inaction.
Moore Frappier says water infrastructure is failing because successive governments have not made the investments to maintain safe and reliable water systems in First Nation communities. The group says it's been told by Indigenous Services Canada Ontario region that there is no more funding for First Nations water infrastructure.
This is unacceptable. It undermines reconciliation. It undermines the Crown's fiduciary responsibilities, and it undermines the dignity and the rights of our people.
Water is a basic human right. This government must act immediately. We cannot afford to wait any longer.
Prime Minister Mark Carney has promised clean water legislation to come in the spring, but the chiefs say this is a promise they've heard before. Their message to him: will you be the PM that moves beyond promises and gestures? And CTV News reached out to the Minister of Indigenous Services, Mandy Gulmasti, who says clean, safe drinking water in First Nations is a top priority for her and the government. In a statement, she writes, in part, our government is committed to ending the remaining 38 advisories, and we've allocated an additional $2.3 billion for that purpose in Budget 2025. I'm honored to continue advancing this important work together. Well, the chief of Matagami First Nation was the keynote speaker at a Timmins Chamber of Commerce Leaders Series luncheon today. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
Impact on when you do
the Timmins Chamber of Commerce Leaders Series luncheon today at the Porcupine Dante Club featured Matagami First Nation Chief Jennifer Constant. This is the first time a First Nation chief has been asked to be the keynote speaker at a Timmins Chamber of Commerce luncheon, and Chief Constant said she is honored to have been asked.
And to be able to come here and speak on all these wonderful things that are happening in our community, and hopefully you know, if there are any perspectives about First Nations, that I'm able to give them a really great insight into the high caliber of a nation that we are, and that fosters more opportunities and partnerships with people in the region.
Constant spoke about some of the food sovereignty projects underway in her community and how they can lead to nation transactions. And she also shared details about the Matagami-Aki Limited Partnership that works to drive sustainable development for the community by building partnerships.
So partnerships to us are people that we know are respectful, that at the end of the day, it is mutually beneficial. We do negotiate, we do make agreements with whoever our partner is. So it's not a one-sided approach of us saying this is what is going to be included. Certainly we do have a standard and a threshold that we want to maintain and keep, but each partner has different priorities as well, and we want to be able to also factor that in.
Dumas is a local mining company that specializes in mine construction. Steve Black is its Director of Business Development and says the company has enjoyed a relationship with Matagami First Nation that's been developed over the last couple of years.
Essentially, we bring them in during the proposal process and discuss what aspects we can pursue and how we can approach it together as a partner. And really, it's about bringing them into the projects and the opportunities up front and discussing how we can maximize benefit to both parties.
Black says Dumas now also has a limited partner company called Aki Dumas, and when it bids for jobs within Matagami First Nation territory, it will do so under the Aki Dumas model. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
Still ahead tonight on CTV News. A well-known Northern Ontario lake gets top honors for ice fishing in one publication. Stay with us. Only one game on the docket here in Northern Ontario with our hockey teams, and that one was over in Powassan, where it was a very tough night for the French River Rapids. The Rapids fall to the Voodoo 12-2. The Voodoo's Jesse Lefebvre with a hat trick tonight, earning him the first star of the game. The ice fishing season is several weeks away, but Tourism North Bay is celebrating a recent ranking that touts Lake Nipissing as the go-to ice fishing spot this winter. Fishing Booker, the world's largest platform for booking fishing trips, ranked Lake Nipissing as the third best ice fishing spot in Canada for 2026. North Bay has plenty of outfitters offering huts and guided trips, making it a destination that welcomes both seasoned and first-time anglers.
It's really the northern hospitality, the community, and the sense of belonging. There's nothing better than going out on a beautiful day and drilling the hole and, enjoying some friends or some family members.
In 2023, Lake Nipissing took the top spot. This year, Lake of the Woods, sitting on the Ontario-Manitoba border, was named #1. Well, it's that time of year again when the Salvation Army amplifies its efforts on community outreach, and the Santa Shuffle and the Christmas Kettle campaign are in full swing. CTV's Madison Merrier has more.
Jingle bells ring and lives are impacted with the Salvation Army's annual campaigns.
The support that we get from the community each and every year, it just goes to show that Sudbury is a caring and generous community, and so it warms my heart to see people of all generations giving at Christmas time.
We run 365 days a year, but Christmas is a special time for the Salvation Army. It always has been, and not only do we want to make Christmas really bright for those that are in our home, but we also try to help people that are not necessarily in our home. So it's a time of year to give.
Officials with the campaign are hoping for continued support from the community because the need is great.
This is our annual Christmas Kettle campaign. This is our major fundraiser for the year. It helps to primarily support our Christmas hamper program, which this year alone has increased by over 300 households. So this year we are assisting 1,300 households.
We've been at 100% capacity, honestly, for the last 3 years, and we turn away probably 120 individuals every single month. So the need is great.
Santa Shuffle donations will be supporting vulnerable women and youth, providing them with a safe house to stay at Cedar Place.
This is a great event for anyone with all kinds of skill levels because we have a 1K walk or shuffle or run, and we have a 5K walk, shuffle, or run.
The Santa Shuffle will be happening at the Delky Dozy running track on the morning of December 6th, and the Christmas Kettle campaign will be ongoing at around 10 different locations before ending on December 24th. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
Finally tonight, it is hard to believe, but we are just days away from one of the biggest and oldest telethon traditions in the country. The CTV Lions Children's Christmas Telethon will hit the airwaves on Saturday starting at 2 in Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie. Funds raised go towards making sure every child has a great Christmas holiday. Earlier tonight, the telethon's chair, Sam Corey, sat down with our own Tony Rima.
One person cannot do telethon. The thanks and the gratitude goes out to all the Lions clubs in the area, because without their help, we cannot do it.
And tomorrow night, the Lions Club will be at the Sudbury Cubs NOJHL game collecting donations for the telethon. For a donation to the Lions Club, you can pick up one of these limited edition telethon ornaments. Game time is 7 p.m. at Countryside Arena. Don't forget to tune in this Saturday, December 6th at 2 p.m. The telethon again this year will be on in Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie. It'll also be available to watch through Crave and online at CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca. Should be a great time. We hope you tune in. Thanks so much for watching. Stay warm, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.